It's quite a cold and blustery day. We've had a couple of days of bluster and rain and wind, but the really interesting thing is this actually happens every year in June, and we kind of tend to forget about it, but it's known as the June drop. And the thing about the June drop is, if you look here, you'll see lots and lots of blossom knocked off the trees, and loads of the blossoms are stripped off the trees at this time of year by the June drop. If you look over here, you'll see this is an apple tree, and the June drop gets its name mostly because fruit in orchards falls from the trees. Now here's a nice little apple, if you can see that. See that little apple? And what happens is lots of little apples fall onto the ground, or pears or whatever out of an orchard. So that's why it gets the name the June drop, because there's a dropping of a certain amount of fruit. And the weird thing is that actually helps the trees, because the fruit that's left on the trees can grow faster now when the trees shed some of their fruit. Those that stay on will be the healthy ones anyway, so they'll be able to grow to full size and become proper, proper sized apples and pears and whatever in the autumn. So, but it also puts an end to the breeding season of the trees, because all of their blossoms are on the ground, as you can see. And you can see the trees move around quite a lot. So with that happening, it basically brings an end to the breeding season, and we're in what is called, it's basically the kind of spring summer intermediary, and we are transitioning into the summertime. But the spring actually comes to a very definite end around now. I mean, once the blossoms come off the trees, that is kind of the end of the spring, and a whole other set of plants will come into play. Lots and lots of wildflowers. You'll notice buddleia bushes, they're not native, but they don't usually flower or bloom until later in the summer, and they're very much a summer plant, whereas most of the native plants are very much spring plants, like the spring flowering plants, which the bees and wasps and hoverflies depend on. So now it's going to be a different kind of summer. Different creatures will emerge too and appear, which will depend on different plants. So that's how the world basically works, the natural world. There's cycles of different things happening at different times of the year, and each time has its own abundance, but each time also lacks something. So it creates space for different creatures to appear. And so just remember, this does happen every year.